I've got some pretty good advice many times. I think, there's a funny one. One of my mentors told me not to get married, and he told me that repeatedly, don't get married.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, it's safe
In
to
fact, my
say
wife
that.
told me not to get married. She
I
told me
don't know
that
if your wife is watching this video though,
no,
but
she's sitting right now.
thank you for joining us back for the second part of our interview with Shayak. In the first part, Shayak described the twists and turns that took him to an INSEAD MBA. If you missed the first part, the link is in the description box below. So Shayak will straight away come to the first question of the second part. Why don't you tell us more about your entrepreneurial initiative, Unimart?
Okay. This is something I do for my bread and butter, I think 20 times a day. So thank you for giving me the 21st opportunity today. No, I'm just joking. So thank you. My last experience at Rocket Internet was I was heading cross-border e-commerce for them, and I was looking at establishing it across multiple geos, so LATAM, Africa, South Asia. I also set up China and all. So during that experience, I learned a lot about how cross-border trade works, how cross-border commerce works, the nuances of it, especially in the e-commerce world. And those were very early days, right? So not many people knew how to do it. So I wanted to set up a platform that sits at the confluence or straddles three industries. So that's supply chain, e-commerce, and retail, and then enable this entire ecosystem through one platform. Now, let's take it a little bit simpler. Let's imagine that you are a small business, right? Because cross-border e-commerce is difficult for both small and large businesses. But if you're a small business, it's a lot more difficult for you. And if you want proof of this, just look at the numbers. You will see that domestic trade, 50 to 60% is driven by small and medium businesses. Okay. But the moment you step out and you look at cross-border trade, less than 5%. So that's a 45-50% drop, which is not natural. This and only happen if and only if you come to a point where these guys do not know what they're doing and they are not trying or they're scared about it. That's when you find this kind of a thing. Large businesses tide over this problem with money. They would put inventory in every market, they would put distributors in every market, and they will sell their products. You take a look at P&G, you take a look at Unilever, their problem is something else. Their problem is the fact that they cannot get last level data, right? Because they're selling through distributors in multiple markets, they don't get that data. But the problem for the small businesses is the fact that they can't even get started because it comes at 5 levels, right? It comes at, and by the way, I call it the AEIOU model. So it basically says that the first is access, right? A for access. Can you access that market? Now, typically to access a new market, you need to incorporate there, you need to set up your warehouses there or distributors there, hell of a lot of work. Easier if you could get, say, a Flipkart or an Amazon of that particular country to let you sell through them, get the clientele, and then set up retail, right? That would be the better way to do that. So we create these access points. So we partner with the e-commerce platforms, we partner with the web stores. Now, let's say you're selling on your own Shopify web store. You need to optimize it for the markets that you're targeting. We do all that. So access. Then comes ecosystem. If you have managed to solve the access problem, which by the way is a notoriously difficult problem to solve because the gatekeepers are the marketplaces. And a Flipkart does not want a Bangladeshi seller or a Mexican seller or an Indonesian seller to come and sell because they do not know how to control the quality there. But just suppose you're beyond that problem, you then need the support in that market to sell. Now, shipping, warehousing, payments, these are the kind of problems you'd face. Translation in some markets. Now, let's say you are sitting in India and you want to sell in Mexico, or you want to sell in Canada, or you want to sell in France. You need a local warehouse there, or you might want to ship from India. Now, which products do you warehouse in India? Which ones do you warehouse there? And how do you do the shipping? This entire process needs to be tied up in a neat little bow. Else, you will not be able to do it. It becomes very complex. So for a small merchant to go to 5 different shipping partners, 2 warehouse partners in a country they don't understand the language in, and negotiate the rates and processes and integrate them into one system is impossible to do, right? But for someone like us who's a systems integrator, it is possible. So what we do, as of today, we've got like 10, 15 shipping partners that we've integrated into a system. We go to them and we negotiate rates. And we tell them that, you know what, we're going to bring you thousands of merchants, give us these rates. We get those rates, we pass it to the merchants. Similarly, we go to these countries, we find warehousing partners who will do the fulfillment for these merchants and integrate them into our system. We can also, sometimes find payment gateways. If the merchants need those, there could be other solutions as well. So that is the ecosystem, E for ecosystem. Once you got the ecosystem and you want to sell, comes I. I stands for intelligence. So at this point, you know that, okay, you can sell, but the problem is, how do you sell? What do you sell? Who do you sell to, right? These questions start coming up and you don't know what to do. And by the way, here's a small insight. 98% of the market does not know how to do cataloging beyond their primary marketplace. So if they're selling on Amazon, they will not know beyond that. Or if they're selling on Lazada or Flipkart, they'll not know beyond that. So how do you solve this kind of a problem? We came up with our own deep learning algorithms or artificial intelligence algorithms to solve for this. What did we do? We built an algorithm where you can go and upload your image, and the system recognizes that image and automatically tells you what category that product falls in, tells you what the price should be, tells you who your competitors are, tells you how much sales you might get, takes that image, removes the background, color corrects it, resizes it, and gives you a much better image so that it sells more, tells you what keywords you should use. All these kind of, there are about 10 of those that we built, right? This helps you automate your process. All those things which were so far issues for you, you could solve them now. So you got the intelligence. Now you want to kind of sort out your operations. Because you see, you got the access to the market, which means you can get sales. You got the ecosystem, which means you can actually go and fulfill that. You got the intelligence, means you know how to sell it, but you still need to optimize your operations in terms of supply chain or in terms of orders inventory management or payment reconciliation. These are genuine problems. And these are problems for which merchants have no solution today. So, and U stands for unified. So access, ecosystem, intelligence, operations, unified. We bring all of this in one platform. So funny story, back in 2017, when I was going around the VC circuit of India, trying to say that, okay, you know what, I want to build this. I had 300 rejections in a go, right? 300 rejections over the year, where everybody said, you're trying to boil the ocean. You're trying to do, I had comments like, without naming people, I had comments like, you should allow Google to do this and focus on one part of this. Somebody said, you're trying to boil the ocean. Good, we'll see. Somebody said, okay, so why is Amazon not doing this? And why are you doing it? Everybody just said 15 minutes. Just in 15 minutes, somebody would say, show me the back of the envelope, how are you going to make money? And I was totally unprepared for this. And so learning, obviously, a lot of learning in that period. A lot of well-wishers came in, told me about how this might actually work and how to take it in steps, how to phase it out. A lot of the things have been my pig-headedness as well, where I just wouldn't give up and I would be like, no, we will solve this one way or the other. So 17, we didn't raise money. 16, we didn't raise money. And we went through that entire period. Anyway, so in a nutshell, if I were to give you the elevator pitch, Eunimart is a platform that helps small and big businesses alike to manage their and expand their sales globally. So we have a full supply chain management system, an e-commerce management system powered by AI. So that's what we are. We're not a front-end system. We don't sell like Shopify or Amazon.
Got it. I think you've nearly told us everything about the initiative, but would you add anything if I were to ask you what your final vision is and where you foresee it to be in the future?
Look, we want to help people to sell more. A lot of the enablers in the ecosystem are operational platforms. They help you to optimize your orders or they help you to optimize your shipping, right? That's not what we want to do. We want you to help you to sell more. Now that's a very different vision, correct? So if you talk about my vision is to create a platform that will make it ridiculously easy for anybody to go and sell wherever they want to sell, right? So it would be as easy as setting up a shop and selling to someone next door. I want to make it that easy. That's my long-term vision. To do that, there are 5 things that need to be solved. Supply chain needs to be solved, number 1. So you need to have shipping partners, warehousing partners, fulfillment partners in different markets and different kinds of solutions. Number 2, the entire operations needs to be solved. Cataloging, pricing, inventory, orders, payments, everything. Then you need to solve the channels of sales. You need to bring the retail channels, e-commerce channels into one play. Then you need to solve the marketing. Point number 4 is marketing. You need to solve marketing as to where does my ad dollars go? How much ad dollars do I put in to get what back? Today, there is zero visibility on this. I have not come across any tool in the e-commerce world that optimizes your entire marketing spend. And last is your fintech part. How do I get financing so that I can grow my business? These are the 5 fingers of this particular problem. You solve these 5 fingers, you've solved the problem. Okay. So today we solve 3 of them. We do have a complete supply chain management solution for certain markets. We have a complete e-commerce management solution across a large number of markets, and we do solve the operations bit. But what we don't do as of today is we don't do marketing and fintech. So in the future, hopefully within the next 2 years, I want to solve those as well, where you would be able to come into the platform, and based on your catalog, based on the markets that you're selling in and whatever you want to do, you should be able to tell the system that I want to spend these many dollars, give me a distribution of how I do this. Or you should be able to come and tell the system that this is my growth plans, tell me how do I get my financing. And by the way, that can be, remember, we are a two-sided platform, right? I'm only talking about the SMEs on one side, but on the other side, there are enterprises. Large platforms like e-commerce marketplaces, shipping companies, which also need this data. They want to understand which of these SMEs can they distribute through, or which of these SMEs need the shipping solutions, or which of these SMEs need their marketing solutions. So it's a two-sided platform.
Got it. So Shayak, it's kind of obvious that you have had a lot of entrepreneurial experience, and you've had a lot of hit and trial, a lot of learnings, a lot of successes in the process. What would you say are mainly the top 3 factors that make you a successful entrepreneur?
I'm not a successful entrepreneur. I'm probably on my way there, but that's a probability that will be determined by many more factors down the road. But there are successful entrepreneurs that you can look at, and typically, you know that they're well spoken. You know that, well, there are some who are not that well spoken, but typically they are. But I think, you know, if you go beyond the facade, if you go beyond that veneer of marketing that comes with that founder branding shit, you actually look at the real stuff, and you'll realize that these people typically have a few things in common. They will be extremely, you know, persuasive or resilient. They will not give up, because, you know, setbacks are a part of life. You are going to get that every day. Like, in the morning you're happy, in the evening you're not, and again in the later down the line, later down in the night you're happy, because something went right, something didn't. You need to be able to, you know, go through this. And I've gone bankrupt twice in this business. Forget my last business. Okay, so you need to be very, very resilient to get through this. I think the second thing, which would be very true about almost all entrepreneurs, is you have to learn on your feet. I started Eunimart without knowing how to run a proper Excel sheet. Okay. And within 3 months, I was teaching people how to use Excel. I didn't have a marketing team. So in 2019, me and Amit, we set up the entire marketing, studying marketing end to end. And today I can honestly tell you that I'm probably as good at marketing as most people that you'll find out there. And I know the end to end of digital. I know the end to end of paid, organic, SEO, and I've run all of those things single-handedly. And I've also done, you know, the entire brand building part of it at one time. Done things like using, forget it. But the point is that I did the entire marketing part of it. Today, I'm running the entire sales single-handedly. I'm the one and only salesperson of the company, and I'm bringing in like tons of sales single-handedly. So I'm learning sales. I was always a decent salesperson, but this is a very different kind of sales. This is enterprise sales, and I only started this year, and already I've closed 2, right? So, and I had to learn you know, I had to learn on my feet, because if I didn't, the company would fail, and I didn't have an option. This is not a job that you leave and you'll get another one, right? Similarly, when 3 CTOs failed, like we had 3 CTOs come and go over a period of 18 months, fail. So finally, I took over as a CTO, and I had to make it happen. And this huge platform that you see with all this massive deep tech solutions that you see was built by the team, but somebody needed to guide them as to what the vision was and solve the problems when they would come on a daily basis, which meant I needed to learn tech. I needed to learn data science on the go, right? So I think the second thing which most of these entrepreneurs will have is learning on the feet. And I think the last bit goes without saying, you have to be fearless about experimentation. You cannot say that, oh no, you know what? Look, I'm not saying take decisions without thinking. I'm not saying take decisions without taking the data into account, but you cannot have decision paralysis. You cannot have a problem where you're thinking too much about something. You got the basics right, jump into it with both feet. You can't have 1 feet on the ground, 1 feet in the air. You jump in with both feet, and then you figure out where you land. And if you decide the water's too deep, you swim to shore, but you do it again. You do it again and again and again. That's what an entrepreneur is. Like, so many of my decisions have gone wrong. I think in a day, if I take 10 decisions, 5 will go wrong. And I'm not a magician. It will go wrong without a doubt, which is fine. And I'll kind of somehow along the way change that and again try. So I think being persuasive, learning on the feet and learning on my feet, and I think experimentation. These are things which will mark any and every entrepreneur who you really call successful. Whether you look at Elon Musk and how many failures he's had, or Jack Ma and how many failures he's had, or how they have gone through their struggles, you'll see the same story.
Got it. So in your journey, you've also met a lot of other people, right? People who have been contributors in your business, people who have opposed, people who have questioned, people who have supported, lots and lots of people. There is an entrepreneurial mindset that we keep seeing working around us at all times. If you had to change some aspects of the entrepreneurial mindset, I'm not saying that it's negative, there are a lot of good things as well, but if you had to change something, what would it be?
If I had to change something about the entrepreneurial mindset, that's an interesting question. I mean, honestly speaking, entrepreneurs at one point start thinking they're God. They're always right, because you've got so many people listening to you and very few people opposing you or questioning you that you start feeling that you're right. It's important to have your team challenge you. It's important to have people question your decisions. And I think that's super important, because you see every single entrepreneur makes a mistake, but we forget that and we start thinking, I do it, by the way, everybody does it. I start thinking that, my decisions have to be adhered to because I said so. I said so, so you do it. And that's okay in rare circumstances. When you know that others are not seeing what you're seeing, and you need to take that plunge and you need to get people going, that might be an odd exception when you say, stop arguing and do it because I said so. But other than that, you never say that. You never ever say that. That authoritarian mindset that comes with, especially, I've seen this in Asia. I've not seen this outside of Asia, but in Asia, I've seen this a lot where, I'm the boss. I'm not the boss, dude. You are the subject matter expert. That's why I hired you. And if you're not going to tell me how to do this better than I know, then I should do your job. Then you're not doing it right. But most entrepreneurs forget that. I think that's wrong.
Shayak, don't you think it's an occupational hazard? I mean, just like a few minutes back, you mentioned that you have to have absolute fearless attitude, and you have to be very, resilient, and you don't have to give up on what you're creating. Now, if you are an entrepreneur in a field where you are innovating, where there is not a precedence before you to follow, you would have to have faith in what you're doing. And if there are people who are challenging you, what is the balance how do you reach that balance of listening to your gut feeling and listening to other people when they're against your thought process?
There is no balance. There is no balance. It's like saying, how do you do time sharing? There is no way to do time sharing. The human brain is not supposed to do parallel processing. It can only do serial processing. So even the best of us only do faster processing. So I'd probably be doing something this 5 minutes, and next 5 minutes I'd do something else. So, this is another myth. You cannot balance, there are a few myths about work and life balance. That's a myth. Similarly, saying things like, you can do parallel processing is a myth. I've not seen anybody in my life who can do parallel processing. But you cannot balance people's opinions and also your own ideas. The only right way to do this is to do it in sequence and keep seesawing. Okay, so for example, a lot of investors back in 2017-18 told me this won't work, that won't work, and why this and why that, and they questioned me. And what I tended to do kind of intuitively, and now I do it as a structure, but that time I used to do it gut feeling wise intuitively, is to try and think about how much does this person really know about that particular topic and what are they really trying to tell me. Okay. And so, for example, Jiangan once told me that your business model is not sexy enough. Olga once told me that, yeah, good, but how are you going to do the marketing aspect of it? So, these things started making me think. And every time when I get that kind of a feedback, I think. And then what I do is I come back and I give myself some pause and I think about what I'm trying to do and what they are telling me to do, and then what would be the best way to do it. And over time, I've evolved in a way where I do this, but I do this a lot faster. Thanks to all the different departments that I've worked in, because I've done tech, I've done operations, I've done marketing, sales, and finance to a small extent. But I can't claim expertise, but the other five I can. So because I've done all of those areas, intuitively I bring in a lot of experience from different fields. So when somebody says something who's a subject matter expert, I can immediately see it from their shoe, but I can also see the higher vision of where really does this need to go, right? So today it's a lot more easier for me than say before. But even today, there are newer topics that come to me every day. For example, if I'm going to set up my shop in a new country, I don't know how to do that. So in that case, I will go and talk to accelerators. I'll talk to people who've already done that. I'll talk to lawyers. I'll talk to bankers. I'll talk to different set of people. And I did that in the last 6 months, trying to think about how do I set up in US. And now I've got a way to think about it. Now I'll start putting those things, in place. So again, the answer to what you said is there is no way to balance it. You just have to, do that in sequence, back and forth. So with some experimentation.
Got it. Okay.
Shayak, one final question for the day, and this is related to what we've been talking about till now. What would be your advice to incoming INSEAD students or incoming MBA students in general who are flirting with the idea of entrepreneurship?
Oh, come on. I don't know whether I'm the right person to say this, but that's mainly because I've not worked in the corporate world too long. And a vast majority of people who come to INSEAD, I think the data says so, they come from banking, consulting, engineering backgrounds, right? So when you come from those kind of backgrounds, you're a subject matter expert. You do an MBA and you kind of get a generalist knowledge. But then immediately after INSEAD, some people try to start up, it doesn't go well. It's difficult to say, right? Because here's a saying that goes very commonly at INSEAD. Till today, I don't think there's been a winner of the INSEAD venture competition that they run who's actually gone on to build a large company. At least I could be wrong, but I don't know of any. And again, I accept that I could be wrong. There could be some company which has done that, but I have not seen any. So building a venture and building a plan for a venture are two very different things, okay? Because your plan will go wrong. It's like Mike Tyson says, that everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So you have a plan until that punch lands on you. And then you have to think on your feet. So for the MBA, the fresh MBA grads, or even people who are just joining, I would say that, look, you don't know what you're getting into. So just take it with a pinch of salt. All that knowledge that you have, all the things that you learned during MBA will all fall flat when you actually do it on the ground, and then you need to innovate. And somewhere down the line, you will learn about it again, and then you'll truly understand the impact of what you had learned during your MBA.
Ashik, you are on mute.
Sorry, I think we'll retake this. So yeah, Shayak, that's the end of the questions that we have for you, and those were really insightful answers. So thank you for everything. But we won't let you go just yet. We have prepared a short rapid fire round for you, and we would love to ask you those questions once you're ready. And you have to answer them as quickly as possible, whatever comes to your mind. You can't take a lot of time.
I don't take a lot of time to do anything in life. Go ahead.
Sure. So here's the first question. What has been your craziest experience in the Navy? What has been of course, assuming that there's no confidentiality breach, of course. But yeah, what has been your craziest experience?
So it was back in 2007, and I was sailing on a wooden ship in the Atlantic. I think we had just crossed the Suez Canal, and we were sailing off the coast of Italy, south of Italy. And this was in the middle of the night. It was, I think, December or Jan. I think it was December. And it was very, very, very cold. And I was freezing. I had put on 2 layers of thermals, that suit and all. And given that I was the shortest in the batch, I was right at the top of the mast. And this is a real wooden ship, like you see in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I was right at the top, and a storm came. And it was a very bad storm, and the ship started going haywire, ropes started breaking and all that. And, so I would definitely call that one of my craziest experiences, because I was caught at the top of a mast in the middle of winter in a pretty decent storm. Yes, survived, of course. You wouldn't be interviewing me otherwise, but that's mainly because I managed to jump down, somehow, or slither down, whatever you call it. Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly a crazy experience. So our second question, if you had to change one thing about your INSEAD experience, what would that thing be?
The job hunting experience, I was so screwed. I really didn't know what I was getting into. And despite all the formal advice they have, that's mainly targeted towards people who know what they're looking for. But there's a small section of people like me who really don't know what they're doing. And they're there for the experience, and they need some sort of guidance. Unfortunately, and there should be a lot more alumni connects, buddy systems, etc., that should be created. I don't think, I mean, INSEAD, CDC does a decent job. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying that I had 150 rejections in a go. I almost went into depression. It was my friends who came and helped me out and said, okay, you know what? You're built for startup, start looking, you'll find. And I finally found a job in a startup. But this advice should have come from INSEAD to an extent.
Got it. Okay, straight to the third question. What about your entrepreneurial experience? So one thing that you would want to change about that?
The fundraising part, I would say. It is always nerve-wracking. It is very, very difficult and it's kind of like an art and a science, right? You get it with experience, and the ones who get it raise tons of money. And I just wish it wasn't so highly network driven. Like if you're, sorry, I'm saying this out loud, but it is true. If you're IIT Delhi and you're IIM Bangalore, and you're a combination of those two with a certain community in India, you will get to create some of the largest businesses in India. But if you're coming from NIMS and you don't have that kind of a background, you're destined to scrape around for money, right? Why should that be? Why should that be in the VC ecosystem of India? Why? If you look at the Valley, okay, fine, there is a kind of a thing for Google engineers or MIT engineers that is there, but that's genuinely because they're good. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that, okay, the VC and the founder comes from the same campus, and so they like each other. I just wish it wasn't so network driven, and it was a lot more merit driven or culture driven. And also, I think with a lot of the Indian ecosystem, especially the Indian venture capital ecosystem, isn't really primed for companies that want to create true disruption. It is kind of primed for companies that want to be in between disruption and dhanda, right? So if you look at the businesses that have truly raised and become unicorns or close to unicorns, which are called sunicorns in India, you'll find that almost all of them don't have an idea that's going to break even. Okay. And that's mainly because of that. That's because they're somewhere in between. I'm not going to take any case studies here because there are plenty of them out there. But it's between that innovation and dhanda, and which is why they're neither here nor there. But if you look at the kind of business models that come out of China or they come out of the Valley, there's true moonshot bets being taken. And some of them which are not moonshot but very highly innovative and scalable. I just wish that was the case in India. So I think in my entrepreneurship journey, I feel that the funding part of it has been kind of a dicey piece where I've learned over time how to talk and what to say and what not to say, and how to present it and what jargon to use, because it's a very jargon driven thing. Okay. You say the same thing in one word, everybody will clap for you. You say the same thing in a very layman's terms and everybody will be like, this. It's like the same difference between Bangan and, I'm not going into it, but yeah.
Aubergine.
You know what I'm talking about, yes.
Yeah.
So
one
Shayak,
sounds French, other sounds like my mom made it, no? So that's a problem.
So Shayak, the question after this, what is the best advice that you have been given in life? I'm sure you've had a lot, but if you were to just pick out one, what would that be?
I've got some pretty good advice many times. I think, there's a funny one. One of my mentors told me not to get married, and he told me that repeatedly, don't get married.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, it's safe
In
to
fact, my
say
wife
that.
told me not to get married. She
I
told
don't
me
know
that,
if your wife is watching this video though,
no,
but
she's sitting right next. No, but
Also, it is safe
my
to
wife
say
told me
that
not
a
to get
lot of
married.
things in your life have been a result of your wife. Had your wife not forced you into the room and made you study, you wouldn't have.
No, she's been behind every single major thing I've done. Leaving the Navy, successfully running the business in Goa, getting through the GMAT, getting through INSEAD, coming back to India, starting this business or running this business as a co-founder. Like if Archana hadn't been there, I wouldn't have done any of these things. I would still probably be an officer in the Navy. But no, that goes without saying. But I'm just saying this. So that was one of the funniest advice that I got. Genuinely good advice I think I've got from many different people. Like my dad would be like one of the top people that I can think of. I've got a lot of good advice from him about how to think about life and how to go through a lot of different things. Difficult to point out one or the other, because it's not like what you typically see in the movies. It's not like a flashlight moment. It kind of affects you a lot of times, but a lot later, not immediately. Like
correct.
my parents never forced me to study. They just said, whatever you do, do with your heart. And I guess that stuck with me to an extent. I used to read books which were way beyond my ken at the time, and forgetting completely that I had exams the next day and somehow scraped through the exams. But, that's kind of stuck through me, just stuck with me throughout the times. Yeah.
Got it. So this is the last rapid fire question. This might sound a bit typical, but we want to keep it like really short and sweet and in a gist. What would you answer if we asked you, where do you want to see yourself in 10 years?
Hopefully on a beach, writing a book, and with a, I guess it will be a vodka or a whiskey. I'm not sure. I think it should be a vodka. Yeah.
I love. Yeah, I think you were saying. Were you saying something?
No, I was just saying that hopefully on a beach with a vodka and writing a book. I will be writing my book in 10 years from now. Yeah. So hopefully
I
that.
love how you how that you will have achieved everything in life within the next 10 years, and you will be in a position to really relax at the beach. I love the
No,
optimism.
that's not the point. Look, it's not a linear journey. That's the whole point of it. My life has never been a linear journey. It's been a series of step functions. And so from one to the another to the another. So I actually intend after this particular thing, what I'm doing at Eunimart, to take a break for a couple of years and just travel and write a book and just chill. And then again, I'll get back to doing what I do best. But to be honest, it doesn't need to be a linear journey that you have to finish everything and then take a break. Why? I mean, nobody said that.
Correct.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So Shayak, those were the end of all the questions, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Shayak, for chatting with us. And we are certain that our viewers have enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. So yeah, thank you for being on our show.
You guys have been wonderful hosts, both of you, Ashik and Sugandha. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been fun reliving some of the INSEAD experiences, talking about some of these things. Take care, and I wish the both of you good luck, find good jobs, have a blast, right?
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining in. We hope you like this episode. If you have any recommendations or suggestions about what we could cover next, please let us know in the comment section. And of course, please subscribe to our channel and like and share this video with whoever you feel could benefit from this.